You are smart. You are capable. You know your work inside and out. But let me ask you this. Do the right people actually see you as a leader? Because here's the reality. Leadership is perception driven. And if your presence doesn't match your ambition, you will always feel like you are running harder than necessary to prove yourself. Before you even speak, your leadership presence is already communicating something. The real question is it saying what you want it to say? If you've ever felt overlooked despite your expertise, this episode's going to shift your perspective. Because today I'm going to be breaking down something that I call the visibility equation. It's a formula that determines whether you're perceived as a high impact leader or just another capable professional blending into the background. By the end of this episode, you're going to know exactly why your presence, positioning, and perception dictate your leadership impact and how to elevate them. And if you don't think this applies to you, keep listening because I guarantee one piece of this equation is definitely holding you back. Welcome to the Style and Strategy Podcast, where personal brand meets leadership and style. I'm Sonia, a personal brand and style coach who's been exactly where you are, juggling career and business success, personal growth, and finding a style that truly fits. After decades in corporate leadership, I've learned that showing up isn't just about what you do. It's about how you align who you are and how the world sees you. This season, I'm bringing you practical strategies, bold insights, and honest conversations to help you amplify your presence, unlock your next level, and lead with clarity and confidence. Let's dive in. Leadership presence is not just about confidence. It's not just about what you say, and it's definitely not about waiting for someone to recognize your value. Because here's the reality. Leadership is perception driven. And if your presence doesn't match your ambition, you will always feel like you are running harder than necessary to prove yourself. And this is where the visibility equation comes in. The way I see it, based on years of experience and some slips and falls myself, and also seeing it with clients, is that visibility is the sum of presence, positioning, and perception. If one of those elements is misaligned, you'll either A, be seen but not respected, be respected but not recognized, and work twice as hard to prove your value. So let me break this down for you, because the formula for leadership impact, whether you're in corporate, leading a business, or stepping into thought leadership, is the same. So the visibility equation is three critical elements of leadership presence. So 1, presence is really how you communicate your leadership before you even speak. It's your wardrobe, it's your energy, it's all those non-verbal signals that are actually shaping how you're perceived before you say a word. If you've ever walked into a high-stakes meeting and felt completely out of place, wondered if your style reflects the rooms you want to be in, or felt like you show up, but you don't always make the impact you really want to, then presence is where your visibility is actually leaking. So think about it this way. Your personal style should reinforce your leadership. It shouldn't be an afterthought. Your body language, your posture, the way you carry yourself instantly creates perceptions of credibility. Your presence should signal, I belong in this space. And if it doesn't, something needs to shift. Just hold that thought for a moment, because I'm going to cover off the second piece of the equation, positioning. And this is one of those areas where most high achievers stall in their growth. So positioning, are you placing yourself in the right rooms? And here's the truth that no one really talks about. Your leadership brand should really reinforce the rooms you want to be in. So if you're operating at this high level, but you're still feeling overlooked, ask yourself, am I in the right conversations? Am I showing up where the decision makers are? Am I positioning myself as a high-valued leader, or am I waiting to be invited in? because you can have the best personal brand, the best leadership traits in the world. But if you are not being positioned strategically, you are leaving opportunities on the table. So how do you fix it? You've got to stop blending in with the crowd and start owning your space. You've got to be intentional where you invest your time, your energy, and your brand visibility. Positioning is not just about what you do. It is about how and where you show up. And this one hits home for me because I can tell you, I spent many years thinking that my brand would speak for itself. Many years waiting to be invited in. And so this is why I'm so passionate around you taking control of the narrative, because it will get you there so much faster. Finally, perception. It's probably one of the most underestimated factor. Are you being seen in a way that you want to be seen? This is probably the one that shocks people the most because we don't always see ourselves the way others do. You might be showing up, but if the perception isn't aligned, you're not going to be recognized for your full value. Think about it like this. Have you ever been in a situation where someone less experienced, less knowledgeable, yet more visible was perceived as the expert? That's because their perception matched their positioning. So, how do you fix it? It's time to step back and take a critical audit of your personal and leadership brand. Does it reflect where you are or where you're going? Ask some colleagues, mentors. How are you perceived? You might actually be surprised. If people see you as reliable but not strategic, competent but not powerful, there's a branding problem, not a skills problem. And so doing those extra courses, going out and doing those extra studies isn't going to solve the problem. And if it all starts to feel like, oh, hang on, I think I've got some areas I need to look at in all three, don't worry, I'm going to tie it all together now. So let's recap. Visibility equals presence, positioning, and perception. And it took me a long time to work out this formula, but I've seen it every single time where we have shifted with clients. One of these levers that had the gap, the visibility increased. So ask yourself now, which one of these three are your weakest link? Where are you actually making leadership harder for yourself? And what's one step you can start to take today to shift how you're seen? Because the most successful leaders don't wait to get noticed. They don't assume their work is going to speak for itself. They make strategic decisions on how they show up, where they show up, and how they're perceived. So the real question becomes, are you? So here's what I want you to do next. I want you to audit your visibility. Are you positioning yourself in those right rooms? Are you perceived the way you want to be? Are you intentional about your presence? And then I want you to take action. If your presence is your gap, start focusing on your leadership style. If positioning is your challenge, start being strategic around where you show up. And if perception is off, take control of your brand messaging and visibility. And if you're ready to really elevate your presence strategically, let's talk. And if you know a leader who needs to hear this, then share it with them, because I'm on a mission to make sure that the right people hear and see this and get recognized for the leaders that they already are.